What if I tell you that the wealth you desire is not something to chase, but something already within you, waiting to be felt and lived? And in this video, you will discover how Neville Goddard's wealth meditation can align your inner world with limitless abundance so that you can transform your financial reality from the inside out. This is where it begins, with the simple yet revolutionary idea that imagination is not fantasy, but the unseen blueprint of reality itself. And this understanding will change how you approach money forever. This is how it unfolds. Every thought you assume as true begins to weave the fabric of your life, silently shaping circumstances in ways both subtle and profound. This is where truth breaks through, when you realize that feeling wealthy precedes any external evidence, and that the subconscious mind does not argue, it obeys the state you impress upon it. This is why it matters. Because most people wait for wealth to appear in the world and never consider the power of living as if it already exists, and that delay keeps them trapped in scarcity. This is where illusion fades. When you understand that external conditions are reflections of your inner state, and that mastery of feeling is mastery of creation. This is the turning point, where you learn to enter a meditative state and vividly assume the life of financial freedom, as if it is already happening now. This is how belief becomes action, by cultivating emotions of abundance that bypass doubt and fear, allowing your mind to rehearse wealth with precision and confidence. This is the subtle art of letting go of trying and stepping fully into being, knowing that the world will mirror the inner conviction you carry. This is where momentum gathers, because repetition of this state strengthens the subconscious impression, making wealth not a distant dream, but a living reality. This is the current that pulls you forward, where gratitude, joy, and satisfaction become the fuel that propels imagined scenarios into physical manifestation. This is where alignment takes root, as you feel the peace of financial security and the thrill of opportunities flowing effortlessly toward you. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting the process, knowing that consistent assumption cannot fail, even when external appearances lag behind. This is the hidden doorway, where sensory imagination, seeing, hearing, and feeling wealth, anchors belief deep into your subconscious. This is where transformation whispers, as the simple act of assuming abundance rewires perception and invites synchronicities to accelerate manifestation. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, by mentally inhabiting a life that feels rich, fulfilling, and limitless, before a single external change is visible. This is where courage blooms, in releasing attachment to current circumstances and daring to live in the reality of your own creation. This is the rhythm of creation, where daily meditation becomes a rehearsal for the life you desire, and every emotion you cultivate strengthens the bridge between imagination and reality. This is where vision meets experience, as the subconscious begins to conspire with your assumptions, quietly orchestrating circumstances that reflect the inner wealth you now embody. This is the first step in a journey that will reveal practical methods, mental exercises, and emotional mastery. So by the end of this story, you will know exactly how to live the life of abundance Neville Goddard promised, and in doing so, become a conscious creator of your own wealth. Can you imagine a force so subtle, yet so powerful, that it shapes every circumstance of your life without you ever noticing? And in this video, you will discover how Neville Goddard's law of assumption allows you to step into a state where wealth is not pursued but naturally drawn to you through the conviction of your imagination. This is where it begins, with the realization that assuming the feeling of already having wealth is not a trick, but a profound alignment with the creative power within you. This is how it unfolds. By living in the state of your wish fulfilled, your subconscious mind receives an unambiguous command to manifest your assumed reality. This is where truth breaks through, when you see that what you call circumstances are merely reflections of what you habitually feel and believe about money. This is why it matters, because the majority wait for proof before believing, and in doing so, they invert the creative process, asking the world to catch up to their doubt. This is where illusion fades, as you learn that wealth is not external but a reflection of the internal state you maintain, and that sensation, not struggle, is the language of creation. This is the turning point, where imagination ceases to be idle fantasy and becomes a living rehearsal, preparing every fiber of your being for abundance. This is how belief becomes action, not through frantic doing, but through the serene, unwavering assumption that your desires are already real. This is the subtle art of impressing the subconscious mind so fully that it cannot distinguish imagination from reality and begins to orchestrate life to match it. This is where momentum gathers, as repeated assumption builds a rhythm in consciousness, guiding thoughts, decisions, and opportunities toward your imagined state. This is the current that pulls you forward, where doubt is replaced by quiet assurance, and each imagined scene becomes a seed of inevitable manifestation. This is where alignment takes root. As you mentally inhabit the life of wealth, your feelings harmonize with possibilities, attracting circumstances that echo your inner state. This is how patience becomes powerful, by understanding that time is irrelevant when the inner state is fixed and persistent, and that external proof will inevitably follow. This is the hidden doorway, where your imagination becomes the director of life, scripting scenes of abundance that the world must eventually enact. This is where transformation whispers, in the moments when you feel financially secure and joyous without relying on external confirmation, signaling the subconscious has accepted the new state. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, as daily assumption turns mundane routines into rehearsals of prosperity, and every thought carries the weight of creation. This is where courage blooms, in daring to assume wealth before the world validates it, trusting the invisible laws more than appearances. This is the rhythm of creation, where feeling the end of your desires creates a magnetic force, gently pulling circumstances to fulfill your assumed reality. This is where vision meets experience, as your consistent state of assumed wealth begins to align opportunities, resources, and people to reflect your inner conviction. This is the step that changes everything. For once you master the law of assumption, every meditation, every thought, and every feeling becomes a deliberate act of creation, ensuring that abundance flows as a natural consequence of your inner state. Picture for a moment a mind so calm and receptive that every thought you impress upon it becomes a seed of reality. And in this video, you will learn how to prepare your mind for Neville Goddard's wealth meditation so that your subconscious becomes a fertile ground for abundance to grow effortlessly. This is where it begins, by creating a space of stillness, a sanctuary free from the noise of daily life where imagination can breathe and flourish. This is how it unfolds. Through deep relaxation, soft breathing, and gentle awareness of your body sinking into comfort, signaling to the mind that it is safe to receive and create. This is where truth breaks through, when you realize that a distracted mind cannot impress the subconscious, and that preparation is not optional, but essential for manifestation. This is why it matters. Because even the most vivid imagination will falter if the subconscious is agitated or resisting the feeling of wealth. This is where illusion fades, as you release tension, doubts, and resistance, making room for the confident assumption of your desired reality. This is the turning point, when you cultivate an inner state of expectancy, feeling as though abundance is not distant, but already present, ready to unfold. This is how belief becomes action. By quietly rehearsing wealth scenarios in this serene state, allowing the subconscious to absorb them effortlessly. This is the subtle art of transitioning from the chaos of daily thought to the clarity of focused imagination, where wealth is not a goal but a natural extension of your inner life. This is where momentum gathers, as repeated preparation strengthens the connection between conscious desire and subconscious acceptance, creating a seamless bridge to manifestation. This is the current that pulls you forward, where anticipation replaces anxiety, and each meditation becomes a powerful rehearsal of abundance. This is where alignment takes root, as your body, mind, and emotions synchronize with the sensation of already being wealthy, amplifying the magnetic pull of your imagined reality. This is how patience becomes powerful. By trusting that consistent preparation and immersion will eventually translate into external evidence, even if it seems delayed. This is the hidden doorway, where simple rituals like setting an intention, dimming lights, or quieting thoughts open the subconscious to receive your imagined state fully. This is where transformation whispers, in the stillness before sleep, in the quiet moments of focus, signaling that your mind is ready to co-create wealth. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when mundane moments of calm are transformed into fertile ground for the life you desire, making every session an act of creation. This is where courage blooms, in letting go of worry and allowing your imagination to lead, knowing that the mind is your most potent tool. This is the rhythm of creation, a daily cadence of preparation, relaxation, and feeling that transforms imagination into lived reality. This is where vision meets experience, as your meditative readiness sets the stage for the wealth you have assumed, making manifestation inevitable. This is the step that changes everything, because the more meticulously you prepare your mind, the more effortlessly your imagined abundance will become your lived experience. Now consider this. What if wealth could be felt, heard, and seen as vividly as if it were already in your hands? And in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard teaches you to engage all your senses in meditation, so that your subconscious fully embraces abundance as an undeniable reality. This is where it begins, by realizing that imagination is not just visual but a multisensory experience that communicates directly with your subconscious. This is how it unfolds. By mentally seeing money, luxury, or financial freedom with clarity, hearing the sounds of transactions, congratulations, or celebrations as if they were happening now. This is where truth breaks through, when you touch and feel the sensations of wealth, the weight of a check, the texture of currency, or the comfort of financial security. This is why it matters, because sensory richness makes your imagined reality tangible to the subconscious, leaving no room for doubt. This is where illusion fades, as you stop thinking of wealth as distant and start feeling it as an experiential reality. This is the turning point when every sense contributes to the narrative of abundance, creating a full-bodied belief that commands manifestation. This is how belief becomes action, by allowing emotion to accompany sensory experience, strengthening the inner conviction of already having. This is the subtle art of layering sight, sound, touch, and feeling into a seamless, convincing scene that your mind accepts as real. This is where momentum gathers, as repeated practice ingrains these sensory experiences into the subconscious, making wealth a natural state. This is the current that pulls you forward, where the richness of imagination becomes irresistible, and your subconscious cannot help but align circumstances with what it perceives. This is where alignment takes root. As the more vividly you experience wealth in imagination, the more effortless it becomes to act from that state in daily life. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that sensory engagement will seed tangible results over time. This is the hidden doorway, where imagination becomes indistinguishable from reality, giving your desires a blueprint to manifest externally. This is where transformation whispers, as you feel the joy, confidence, and abundance as if it is already yours, changing your inner state irreversibly. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when everyday sensations are used as tools for inner rehearsal, transforming simple thoughts into creation. This is where courage blooms, in daring to feel wealth without evidence, trusting your imagination as the ultimate guide. This is the rhythm of creation, a flow where each meditation expands sensory reality, imprinting abundance on the deepest layers of your mind. This is where vision meets experience, as imagined richness begins to color perception, revealing opportunities and insights aligned with your assumed wealth. This is the step that changes everything, because once you engage all senses, your meditation becomes a living reality that the subconscious cannot ignore, ensuring wealth manifests naturally and inevitably. Suppose you discover a state of being where wealth is not a goal, but an experience. And in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard's meditation teaches you to feel abundance as if it already exists, so that your subconscious mind begins to shape your reality around that certainty. This is where it begins, by realizing that feeling is the secret, the invisible current that carries imagination into physical manifestation without struggle or effort. This is how it unfolds. When you close your eyes and emotionally immerse yourself in the sensations of financial freedom, joy, and security, as though every desire has already been fulfilled. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious responds more to emotion than thought, and feeling rich internally precedes seeing it externally. This is why it matters. For those who rely solely on reasoning or visualization, manifestations are slow or inconsistent, but feeling wealth aligns every part of your being with abundance. This is where illusion fades, as you release doubt and tension, allowing emotions of certainty, gratitude, and satisfaction to dominate your inner state. This is the turning point, when imagination transforms into lived experience, and your mind begins rehearsing abundance as an automatic natural state. This is how belief becomes action. By inhabiting the emotional reality of wealth, you unconsciously make choices and notice opportunities that reflect that state. This is the subtle art of bridging thought and emotion so fully that your subconscious accepts your desired financial condition as fact. This is where momentum gathers, because repeated immersion strengthens the internal blueprint, causing circumstances to align with your assumed feeling. This is the current that pulls you forward, where excitement, comfort, and the thrill of financial freedom energize your mental rehearsal, making it irresistible and compelling. This is where alignment takes root, as your emotional state harmonizes with your imagined reality, creating a magnetic pull for abundance to enter. This is how patience becomes powerful, by maintaining the feeling continuously, knowing that the external world is only catching up to your internal certainty. This is the hidden doorway, where every subtle emotion of wealth acts as an imprint on your subconscious, silently commanding manifestation. This is where transformation whispers in moments of joy and confidence, revealing that your inner state has become fertile ground for creating financial miracles. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when feeling rich turns simple meditations into a living rehearsal of abundance that permeates daily life. This is where courage blooms, in daring to experience wealth fully before it appears in the world, trusting the unseen law of assumption. This is the rhythm of creation, where feeling, imagination, and persistence converge to form the unstoppable flow of manifestation. This is where vision meets experience, as internal certainty begins to shape external evidence, confirming that wealth is the natural outcome of assumed feeling. This is the step that changes everything. Because once you consistently feel your desires fulfilled, the outer world inevitably mirrors your inner state, making abundance not a dream, but a living reality. Envision a world where imagining wealth is not enough. And in this video, you will discover why Neville Goddard teaches that visualization alone cannot create abundance unless it is paired with the full assumption of already having it, showing you how to move from seeing to truly being. This is where it begins. By understanding that visualization is a tool, but assumption is the engine that drives manifestation, and the mind obeys the state you assume, not merely the pictures you conjure. This is how it unfolds, when you shift from passively seeing yourself wealthy to actively feeling, believing, and living as if wealth is already present. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious mind does not differentiate between imagination and reality when the feeling of truth is fully impressed. This is why it matters. Since most people stop at visualization, they rarely trigger the subconscious into aligning circumstances with their desires. This is where illusion fades, as you realize that acting as if internally overrides external evidence, and wealth begins to flow as a natural extension of inner certainty. This is the turning point, when every imagined scenario becomes an immersive rehearsal, embedding belief and expectation deep within the subconscious. This is how belief becomes action, by replacing doubt with lived certainty, so thoughts, decisions, and attention all flow toward abundance. This is the subtle art of merging emotion with mental imagery until the inner conviction of wealth is undeniable and unshakable. This is where momentum gathers, because repeated assumption strengthens the subconscious impression, making manifestation almost automatic over time. This is the current that pulls you forward, where imagination and feeling converge to create a magnetic reality that attracts the conditions, people, and resources of wealth. This is where alignment takes root, as your outer world begins reflecting the inner certainty of financial freedom, proving the power of assumption over mere visualization. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that the external proof will eventually follow your unwavering internal state. This is the hidden doorway, where imagination becomes alive and palpable, instructing the subconscious with clarity and precision. This is where transformation whispers, as your daily mental rehearsal begins subtly influencing choices and perceptions toward wealth. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when simple visualizations are infused with the assumed reality of your desires, creating a complete inner experience. This is where courage blooms, in fully committing to the inner state of wealth without waiting for external validation. This is the rhythm of creation, a flow where each assumption layers upon the last, building a powerful momentum toward manifestation. This is where vision meets experience, as your inner life dictates external results, making wealth not a hope but an unfolding reality. This is the step that changes everything. Because moving from visualization to true assumption transforms meditation into a living blueprint for creating financial abundance that cannot be ignored. Think of the moment when your body drifts into quiet stillness, and in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard emphasizes meditating before sleep so that the subconscious, most receptive at this threshold, absorbs the feeling of wealth and begins orchestrating reality in alignment with your assumptions. This is where it begins, with the understanding that the state just before sleep is a portal where imagination and feeling can impress the subconscious with unmatched clarity. This is how it unfolds, by lying down in comfort, letting the day's distractions fade, and focusing solely on the sensation of already having the wealth you desire. This is where truth breaks through, because the mind in this twilight state does not argue, doubt, or resist. It simply receives and records what you impress upon it. This is why it matters. For many, this practice is the fastest way to bridge imagination and reality, allowing abundance to flow while conscious effort rests. This is where illusion fades, as you release attachment to current financial circumstances, surrendering fully to the imagined state of fulfillment. This is the turning point, when every night becomes a rehearsal where gratitude, joy, and certainty guide your subconscious toward tangible results. This is how belief becomes action. By impressing scenes of wealth just before sleep, you seed the subconscious to act in alignment without conscious effort. This is the subtle art of feeling the end, imagining daily scenarios of abundance, and emotionally living the desired reality as if it is already accomplished. This is where momentum gathers, because consistent evening practice reinforces the internal state, making external manifestation increasingly inevitable. This is the current that pulls you forward, where subconscious alignment during sleep influences thoughts, ideas, and opportunities upon waking. This is where alignment takes root, as your inner certainty begins to color perception, prompting decisions and insights that reflect abundance. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that repeated nightly rehearsals will unfold gradually into visible results. This is the hidden doorway, where imagination and feeling merge in the quiet liminal space between wakefulness and sleep, creating fertile ground for manifestation. This is where transformation whispers, in the subtle shift of expectation and confidence, signaling the subconscious has embraced the new reality. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when bedtime becomes a sacred practice of creation, turning a simple nightly routine into a powerful tool for wealth. This is where courage blooms, in daring to feel abundance fully, while the world of waking circumstances may suggest scarcity. This is the rhythm of creation, a nightly cadence of relaxation, imagination, and assumed feeling that ingrains wealth deep within the subconscious. This is where vision meets experience, as the mind rehearses the life you desire during sleep, setting the stage for external proof to appear. This is the step that changes everything, because nightly assumption transforms subconscious receptivity into a continuous, invisible current, guiding you toward inevitable financial abundance. Ask yourself what happens when you begin to mentally live a day in the life of your wealthy self. And in this video, you will discover how Neville Goddard teaches mental rehearsal as a way to embed the feeling of abundance so deeply that your subconscious begins shaping reality to match it. This is where it begins, by imagining each moment, from waking to evening, as if financial freedom is already a natural part of your daily routine. feeling the ease, confidence, and satisfaction of abundance in every interaction. This is how it unfolds. When you picture paying bills effortlessly, making decisions from a place of plenty, and enjoying the comforts that wealth affords without tension or struggle. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious begins treating these rehearsed scenarios as actual experiences, aligning circumstances to mirror them. This is why it matters. For most people, wealth seems external and distant, but mental rehearsal bridges imagination and reality, proving that inner experience precedes outer manifestation. This is where illusion fades, as you release disbelief and fully immerse in the state of having already achieved your financial desires. This is the turning point when your inner life dictates actions, choices, and focus, naturally steering you toward opportunities that resonate with abundance. This is how belief becomes action. By embodying your wealthy self in thought, feeling, and intention, you unconsciously act in ways that reflect that reality. This is the subtle art of using the mind as a stage, placing yourself in every scene of prosperity with clarity, detail, and emotion. This is where momentum gathers, as repeated rehearsals ingrain wealth into your subconscious, creating a persistent internal state that shapes perception and behavior. This is the current that pulls you forward, where imagined scenarios subtly influence real-world decisions, drawing resources and opportunities to you. This is where alignment takes root, as your thoughts, feelings, and intentions harmonize, creating a magnetic field that attracts circumstances consistent with assumed abundance. This is how patience becomes powerful, by knowing that consistent mental rehearsal slowly but surely organizes the external world around your internal state. This is the hidden doorway, where your imagination becomes the blueprint for your life, allowing the subconscious to orchestrate wealth without forcing events. This is where transformation whispers, in the confidence, ease, and certainty you feel as each imagined day feels alive and real. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when simple mental exercises turn routine moments into rehearsals of prosperity, making manifestation almost effortless. This is where courage blooms, in fully assuming the life you desire in thought before evidence appears in the world. This is the rhythm of creation, a daily loop of visualization, feeling, and inner rehearsal that cements the reality of wealth in your subconscious. This is where vision meets experience, as imagined prosperity begins to manifest tangibly, confirming the power of assumption. This is the step that changes everything, because consistent mental rehearsal transforms your inner world into a living reality, setting the stage for external abundance to flow naturally. Consider the possibility that gratitude is not just a feeling, but a powerful force that accelerates manifestation. And in this video, you will discover how Neville Goddard teaches the practice of feeling thankful for wealth as if it is already yours, amplifying your inner magnetism for abundance. This is where it begins, by recognizing that the subconscious responds to emotion, and gratitude is one of the most potent emotional signals you can send. This is how it unfolds. When you mentally give thanks for the money, opportunities, and comfort you imagine already having, letting the feeling of satisfaction fill your body. This is where truth breaks through, because the act of gratitude shifts your state from lack to abundance, signaling to the subconscious that you already own what you desire. This is why it matters, since most people focus on what is missing, keeping themselves locked in scarcity, but gratitude rewires perception to notice opportunities and resources. This is where illusion fades, as you stop chasing and start appreciating, creating a fertile inner environment for wealth to flow. This is the turning point, when each moment of thankfulness becomes a rehearsal of abundance, imprinting a reality of financial freedom on the subconscious. This is how belief becomes action. By feeling genuinely thankful, you unconsciously align your thoughts and behaviors with the state of already having. This is the subtle art of merging imagination with heartfelt gratitude so that your subconscious cannot distinguish between actual possession and assumed wealth. This is where momentum gathers, as repeated expressions of gratitude strengthen the inner conviction that wealth is inevitable and natural. This is the current that pulls you forward, where opportunities, insights, and ideas begin to appear effortlessly in alignment with your grateful state. This is where alignment takes root, as daily appreciation cements the inner belief that you are already wealthy, making manifestation smooth and consistent. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that feeling abundant now will naturally draw evidence later. This is the hidden doorway, where gratitude becomes a bridge between imagination and reality, transforming mental rehearsal into lived experience. This is where transformation whispers, in the quiet satisfaction and contentment that radiates from your inner self, signaling subconscious alignment. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when simple acts of appreciation turn each moment into a reinforcement of your assumed wealth. This is where courage blooms, in giving thanks for riches you have not yet seen, trusting the unseen law of assumption. This is the rhythm of creation, a cycle of imagining, feeling, and thanking that engraves abundance into your subconscious. This is where vision meets experience, as the magnetic force of gratitude begins to attract circumstances that reflect your assumed prosperity. This is the step that changes everything, because when gratitude is fully felt, wealth flows as a natural consequence of the inner state you consistently cultivate. Now consider this. What if the only thing standing between you and the wealth you desire is invisible resistance within your own mind? And in this video, you will discover how Neville Goddard teaches you to identify and release limiting beliefs, so that your subconscious fully accepts the reality of abundance without obstruction. This is where it begins, by recognizing that doubts, fears, and mental blocks are not external obstacles, but internal states that can be dissolved through awareness and assumption. This is how it unfolds. When you notice thoughts like, "I don't deserve wealth," or "money is hard to get," and gently replace them with the feeling of already having financial freedom. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious obeys only the state you impress upon it, and any resistance weakens the flow of manifestation. This is why it matters, since persistent limiting beliefs create friction, delaying or even preventing the natural unfolding of abundance. This is where illusion fades, as you confront and release stories of scarcity, realizing they are not facts but conditioned responses that can be rewritten. This is the turning point, when you begin to actively choose thoughts, feelings, and assumptions that support wealth rather than undermine it. This is how belief becomes action. By removing internal opposition, your meditation becomes more potent and imagined abundance flows into your life more effortlessly. This is the subtle art of watching the mind without judgment, catching resistant thoughts early, and redirecting focus to the assumed state of fulfillment. This is where momentum gathers, as each released limitation makes space for your subconscious to fully embrace the feeling of being wealthy. This is the current that pulls you forward, where clarity replaces conflict, and every thought supports rather than obstructs the creation of abundance. This is where alignment takes root, as your conscious choices and subconscious acceptance converge into a seamless state of wealth. This is how patience becomes powerful, by understanding that letting go of resistance is an ongoing process, and each step strengthens manifestation. This is the hidden doorway, where self-awareness becomes the key to unlocking subconscious obedience to your assumed reality. This is where transformation whispers, as old fears dissolve, and the sensation of ease, confidence, and financial freedom takes their place. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when simple recognition and release of resistance amplifies the power of your imagination. This is where courage blooms, in trusting that removing internal blocks allows the unseen forces of creation to work on your behalf. This is the rhythm of creation, a continuous cycle of noticing, releasing, and assuming that ingrains abundance into every level of your being. This is where vision meets experience, as the removal of resistance clears the path for imagined wealth to manifest naturally in your life. This is the step that changes everything, because when limiting beliefs are dissolved, your subconscious becomes an unwavering ally, transforming meditation and imagination into guaranteed abundance. Envision a moment where words are not merely spoken, but felt. And in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard teaches affirmations as feeling-based tools that communicate directly with the subconscious, transforming your internal state into one of undeniable wealth. This is where it begins, By understanding that the power of an affirmation lies not in repetition alone, but in the emotion and certainty with which it is experienced. This is how it unfolds. When you craft statements that reflect the reality you wish to assume, such as "I am financially free," or "abundance flows effortlessly to me," and feel them as truth in every fiber of your being, this is where truth breaks through. Because the subconscious responds to the state behind the words, not the words themselves, embedding belief deeply. This is why it matters, since most people recite affirmations mechanically, generating no emotional impact, which renders them ineffective in creating real change. This is where illusion fades, as you align mental repetition with heartfelt emotion, transforming affirmations into active creators of your reality. This is the turning point, when each statement begins to resonate as an experience rather than a concept, and the subconscious accepts it as fact. This is how belief becomes action. By feeling each affirmation fully, your internal state shifts, influencing perception, choices, and circumstances effortlessly. This is the subtle art of pairing sensory imagination with affirmations, making the subconscious perceive the desired wealth as already existent. This is where momentum gathers, because repeated emotional affirmations strengthen conviction and accelerate alignment with abundance. This is the current that pulls you forward, where thoughts, feelings, and mental imagery all converge in harmony with the assumed state of wealth. This is where alignment takes root, as your inner life consistently mirrors the reality you wish to create, leaving no internal contradiction to block manifestation. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that the subconscious will gradually translate repeated, emotionally charged affirmations into external reality. This is the hidden doorway, where the bridge between conscious desire and subconscious acceptance is fortified through deliberate, feeling-driven statements. This is where transformation whispers, in the subtle, growing sense of confidence, ease, and expectation that wealth is inevitable. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when the simple practice of feeling-based affirmations turns daily thought into a potent act of creation. This is where courage blooms, in daring to fully feel the words as real, even before external evidence appears. This is the rhythm of creation, a continuous loop of imagining, feeling, and affirming that ingrains abundance into your subconscious. This is where vision meets experience, as each emotional affirmation begins to influence choices and opportunities, creating tangible results. This is the step that changes everything, because when affirmations are truly felt, they become catalysts that transform your inner state into an unstoppable force for wealth manifestation. Picture for a moment that everything you give attention to expands, and in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard teaches focusing on abundance rather than lack, so that your subconscious consistently draws circumstances, opportunities, and wealth that reflect the reality you assume. This is where it begins, by realizing that whatever occupies your mind, fear, scarcity, or desire, becomes the blueprint your subconscious follows, making focus the ultimate tool of creation. This is how it unfolds, when you consciously shift attention from what is missing to what you wish to experience, mentally living in a state of plentifulness. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious cannot distinguish between imagined abundance and present reality. So attention shapes life more than external facts ever could. This is why it matters, since most people obsess over lack, unconsciously magnetizing limitation instead of prosperity. This is where illusion fades, as you train your mind to dwell on wealth, comfort, and ease, replacing tension with expectation. This is the turning point, when attention itself becomes a form of rehearsal, vividly painting scenarios of financial freedom in your inner theater. This is how belief becomes action, by allowing focus on abundance to influence decisions, thoughts, and emotions in harmony with the state you assume. This is the subtle art of observing scarcity without attachment and redirecting energy consistently toward the sensation of having enough, of more than enough. This is where momentum gathers, because repeated attention to abundance ingrains it deeply into the subconscious, making manifestation automatic. This is the current that pulls you forward, where noticing opportunities, ideas, and resources becomes effortless as your mind scans life for evidence of your assumed wealth. This is where alignment takes root, as your emotional state and mental focus harmonize with the reality you wish to live, strengthening the magnetic pull of abundance. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that what you feel consistently will eventually manifest in external circumstances. This is the hidden doorway, where conscious attention shapes subconscious belief, turning each thought into a subtle act of creation. This is where transformation whispers, as your perception of life shifts from limitation to possibility, creating internal confidence that mirrors external wealth. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when simple focus on what you desire transforms daily thoughts into ongoing rehearsals of abundance. This is where courage blooms, in ignoring scarcity and choosing instead to dwell in the richness of imagined reality. This is the rhythm of creation, a continuous stream of attention, feeling, and assumption that ingrains abundance into your being. This is where vision meets experience, as the external world gradually mirrors your unwavering focus on prosperity. This is the step that changes everything, because consistent focus on abundance rewires thought patterns, creating a subconscious environment where wealth flows naturally and without struggle. Envision a life where daily practice becomes the heartbeat of manifestation. And in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard emphasizes consistency in wealth meditation so that the subconscious steadily aligns with your assumed reality, making abundance inevitable. This is where it begins, by understanding that occasional practice produces occasional results, but disciplined, repeated meditation ingrains the state of wealth into the deepest layers of your mind. This is how it unfolds. When you dedicate time each day to imagining, feeling, and rehearsing the experience of already having financial freedom, no matter the distractions or challenges of daily life. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious accepts repeated impressions more readily, building momentum that grows beyond conscious effort. This is why it matters, since inconsistency allows doubt and scarcity to creep back, weakening manifestation and prolonging the arrival of desired outcomes. This is where illusion fades, as you commit to a rhythm of daily assumption, trusting that small, consistent actions produce compounding effects in the mind. This is the turning point, when daily practice becomes automatic, a natural extension of your lifestyle, embedding wealth as a permanent inner state. This is how belief becomes action, by converting imagined abundance into habitual thought and feeling patterns that shape choices and attract opportunities. This is the subtle art of persistence without strain, allowing meditation to flow naturally into each day, reinforcing your assumed reality. This is where momentum gathers, because the more consistently you impress wealth upon the subconscious, the faster external evidence begins to appear. This is the current that pulls you forward, where repetition strengthens expectation, focus, and emotion, creating a self-sustaining cycle of manifestation. This is where alignment takes root, as your inner state becomes unshakable, consistently radiating confidence, security, and abundance. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that daily commitment compounds, producing results that eventually surpass conscious understanding. This is the hidden doorway, where the subconscious, accustomed to regular input, begins to anticipate and orchestrate wealth naturally. This is where transformation whispers, as each day's meditation deepens the sense of certainty, replacing doubt with expectation. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when a simple daily ritual transforms your consciousness into a fertile ground for continuous creation. This is where courage blooms, in showing up for your practice every day, regardless of immediate evidence or external validation. This is the rhythm of creation, a cadence of imagination, feeling, and assumption that imprints abundance into your being consistently. This is where vision meets experience, as the repeated inner state gradually manifests as tangible results in the world. This is the step that changes everything, because consistent practice ensures that the subconscious becomes a loyal collaborator, transforming imagination into inevitable wealth. Can you imagine the subtle power of every word you speak to yourself, shaping your financial reality? And in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard teaches using inner conversations as rehearsals for wealth so that your subconscious aligns effortlessly with the reality you assume. This is where it begins, By recognizing that the dialogue you carry internally reflects and reinforces your beliefs, acting as a continuous script for your subconscious mind. This is how it unfolds. When you consciously direct your thoughts and self-talk toward abundance, speaking as if you already live in the state of financial freedom. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious does not judge. It accepts the narrative you consistently feed it and shapes circumstances to match. This is why it matters, since unexamined inner chatter often reinforces lack, undermining meditation and manifesting scarcity without your awareness. This is where illusion fades, as you replace doubt-filled commentary with confident, wealth-oriented statements, feeling them as true in every fiber of your being. This is the turning point, when internal conversations become active rehearsals, vividly playing out the experiences, decisions, and emotions of your wealthy self. This is how belief becomes action. By aligning every thought and spoken word with the state of having, you unconsciously act, notice opportunities, and attract circumstances consistent with abundance. This is the subtle art of crafting inner dialogue that reflects not what is, but what is already assumed, allowing the subconscious to orchestrate external reality seamlessly. This is where momentum gathers, because repeated reinforcement through thought and self-talk ingrains wealth into your subconscious, accelerating manifestation. This is the current that pulls you forward, where your mental scripts act as invisible directives, guiding perception, choices, and outcomes toward your imagined state. This is where alignment takes root, as inner conversations harmonize with emotional states, creating a cohesive, magnetic field of abundance. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that consistent inner rehearsal gradually reshapes both perception and external circumstances. This is the hidden doorway, where self-directed thought transforms imagination into a tangible blueprint, silently instructing the subconscious to manifest. This is where transformation whispers, as the quality of your internal dialogue begins to subtly influence daily actions, decisions, and interactions. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when your inner voice consistently mirrors the life you desire, making imagination a living rehearsal. This is where courage blooms, in deliberately choosing conversations of abundance, even when the outer world seems contrary. This is the rhythm of creation, a continuous cycle of thought, feeling, and inner dialogue that reinforces the state of wealth. This is where vision meets experience, as repeated internal rehearsal begins to manifest in external evidence, confirming the power of assumed reality. This is the step that changes everything. Because once your inner conversations align fully with assumed wealth, your subconscious takes over as a powerful co-creator, ensuring manifestation flows naturally. Suppose you discover that your outer actions can become a reflection of your inner assumed reality. And in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard teaches acting as if you are already wealthy, so that every movement, decision, and interaction reinforces the subconscious state of abundance. This is where it begins. By understanding that your external behavior is a natural extension of your inner state, and acting from the feeling of already having wealth strengthens subconscious alignment. This is how it unfolds. When you carry yourself with confidence, make choices from a place of security, and engage with the world as though financial freedom is your reality. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious registers congruence between inner assumption and outer action, accelerating manifestation. This is why it matters. Since inconsistencies between feeling and behavior create friction, slowing the natural flow of abundance. This is where illusion fades, as you notice how even subtle changes in posture, speech, and decision-making communicate wealth to both your mind and the world. This is the turning point, when daily life becomes a stage for rehearsing abundance, turning ordinary actions into deliberate acts of creation. This is how belief becomes action. By embodying the reality you assume, you unconsciously attract opportunities, resources, and connections that match your inner state. This is the subtle art of merging imagination with tangible behavior, so that every step you take reinforces the state of being wealthy. This is where momentum gathers, because consistent as-if behavior strengthens the subconscious impression, making external manifestation smoother and faster. This is the current that pulls you forward, where alignment between feeling, thought, and action creates an irresistible magnetic field for abundance. This is where alignment takes root, as your outer world increasingly mirrors the confidence, ease, and prosperity you feel internally. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that consistent embodiment of assumed wealth will inevitably manifest in tangible results. This is the hidden doorway, where conscious action becomes a natural extension of subconscious assumption, linking imagination with real-world outcomes. This is where transformation whispers, as everyday interactions, decisions, and habits begin reflecting the life you mentally rehearsed. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when simple gestures and choices are infused with the certainty and feeling of wealth, reinforcing creation effortlessly. This is where courage blooms, in daring to live as though your desires are already fulfilled, even before external evidence appears. This is the rhythm of creation, a continuous loop where feeling, imagination, and as-if action converge to imprint abundance deeply into your life. This is where vision meets experience, as your external behavior becomes a mirror of your inner state, confirming the power of assumed wealth. This is the step that changes everything, because acting as if transforms thought into reality, allowing the subconscious to orchestrate circumstances that make your imagined abundance inevitable. Envision a reality where the unseen guides every outcome. And in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard teaches trusting the unseen as a crucial part of wealth meditation, so that your subconscious operates from faith rather than fear, drawing abundance toward you effortlessly. This is where it begins, by understanding that what you cannot yet see is often more powerful than what is visible, and belief in the unseen activates the creative law. This is how it unfolds. When you focus on the feeling of already having wealth, trusting that the invisible processes of your subconscious are shaping reality in alignment with your assumption. This is where truth breaks through, because faith in the unseen removes resistance and doubt, allowing the subconscious to work without interference. This is why it matters, since most people demand proof first, reversing the creative order and delaying manifestation. This is where illusion fades, as you let go of the need for evidence, replacing it with unwavering expectation and the certainty of fulfillment. This is the turning point, when imagination and trust merge, forming an internal state that the subconscious cannot deny or resist. This is how belief becomes action, by aligning feelings, thoughts, and choices with the assumption that wealth is already yours, even if external confirmation is absent. This is the subtle art of embracing uncertainty with confidence, knowing that the unseen is the medium through which your desires materialize. This is where momentum gathers, because persistent trust amplifies the power of assumption, accelerating the flow of abundance into your life. This is the current that pulls you forward, where patience and expectancy become your allies, sustaining the inner state of wealth without visible reinforcement. This is where alignment takes root, as your mind, heart, and emotions synchronize with the unseen, creating harmony between inner assumption and outer manifestation. This is how patience becomes powerful, by understanding that manifestation follows subconscious alignment, not hurried action or visible proof. This is the hidden doorway, where surrender to unseen forces opens the pathway for effortless creation, allowing imagination to direct reality. This is where transformation whispers, as subtle confirmations appear, reinforcing trust and strengthening belief in your assumed state. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when everyday uncertainty is transformed into confidence in the unseen law of assumption. This is where courage blooms, in choosing to feel rich and act from faith before tangible results are visible. This is the rhythm of creation, a cycle of trust, assumption, and emotional alignment that directs your life toward abundance. This is where vision meets experience, as evidence begins to emerge naturally, confirming that trusting the unseen is the conduit for manifestation. This is the step that changes everything, because once faith replaces doubt, your subconscious becomes a powerful co-creator, ensuring that imagined wealth unfolds in the world without resistance. Think of the moment when time itself seems irrelevant. And in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard teaches patience as an essential part of wealth meditation, so that your subconscious has the space to orchestrate the precise circumstances that bring your assumed abundance into reality. This is where it begins, by understanding that manifestation is a process that unfolds according to the subconscious timeline, not the rushed desires of the conscious mind. This is how it unfolds. When you maintain unwavering faith and feeling in the reality of your wealth, even as external evidence appears slowly or seems delayed. This is where truth breaks through, because impatience signals doubt and disrupts the alignment of thought, feeling, and subconscious expectation. This is why it matters, since consistent impatience can unknowingly sabotage your meditation, creating friction that slows or blocks manifestation. This is where illusion fades. As you release attachment to timing, focusing instead on the feeling and assumption that wealth is already yours. This is the turning point, when patience transforms from passive waiting into active trust, becoming a dynamic force that strengthens subconscious alignment. This is how belief becomes action, by sustaining the inner state of abundance consistently, even amidst uncertainty. You naturally draw circumstances that match your assumptions. This is the subtle art of balancing eagerness with calm expectation, knowing that the unseen law of assumption is always at work. This is where momentum gathers, as repeated demonstrations of patience deepen the subconscious impression, accelerating manifestation without forcing it. This is the current that pulls you forward, where confidence replaces anxiety, allowing every step, thought, and feeling to support the inevitable realization of wealth. This is where alignment takes root, as your emotional rhythm synchronizes with the unfolding of your desired reality, reinforcing trust in the process. This is how patience becomes powerful, by transforming waiting into an active rehearsal of assumption, ensuring that your internal state remains unshakable. This is the hidden doorway, where each patient moment allows the subconscious to fully organize people, events, and opportunities in perfect timing. This is where transformation whispers, as small confirmations gradually appear, validating your inner state and reinforcing persistence. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when patience converts every delay or challenge into a chance to strengthen belief and refine your assumptions. This is where courage blooms, in continuing to feel and act as if wealth is yours, even when visible results lag. This is the rhythm of creation, a steady cadence of trust, assumption, and aligned feeling that allows manifestation to flow naturally. This is where vision meets experience, as each patient day brings your imagined reality incrementally closer to tangible proof. This is the step that changes everything, because mastering patience ensures the subconscious can deliver abundance without conflict, struggle, or resistance. Envision a reality where every small hint of prosperity is a signal from the universe, and in this video you will learn how Neville Goddard teaches recognizing subtle signs of abundance so that you can confirm your assumed wealth is manifesting and strengthen the subconscious belief that it is already yours. This is where it begins, by tuning your awareness to notice coincidences, opportunities, and minor blessings that reflect the flow of abundance around you. This is how it unfolds, when you interpret small financial gains, helpful encounters, or unexpected insights as proof that your inner state is shaping external reality. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious uses these confirmations to reinforce the reality you have assumed, accelerating manifestation. This is why it matters, since many overlook or dismiss subtle evidence, missing the feedback that strengthens belief and inner alignment. This is where illusion fades, as you begin seeing every sign, no matter how small, as a reflection of your inner state of wealth. This is the turning point, when awareness becomes a tool for both reinforcement and motivation, showing the subconscious that abundance is unfolding as expected. This is how belief becomes action, by noticing and appreciating signs. Your attention continuously aligns with the vibration of wealth, guiding choices and thoughts naturally. This is the subtle art of interpreting life's small miracles as evidence, which strengthens expectation and deepens faith in your assumed reality. This is where momentum gathers, as consistent recognition of signs builds a positive feedback loop, enhancing confidence and inner certainty. This is the current that pulls you forward, where opportunities begin to appear with greater frequency and clarity, matching the wealth you feel internally. This is where alignment takes root. As your conscious awareness harmonizes with subconscious creation, allowing life to mirror the state you have assumed. This is how patience becomes powerful, by teaching you to trust the process, acknowledging that subtle evidence precedes grand manifestations. This is the hidden doorway, where observation and interpretation of minor events serve as a bridge between imagination and physical reality. This is where transformation whispers, as each small confirmation reinforces the habit of inner focus and emotional alignment with wealth. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when everyday occurrences become proof of the abundant life you are rehearsing mentally. This is where courage blooms, in trusting that even the smallest signs are meaningful, sustaining faith through periods without overt results. This is the rhythm of creation, a continuous cycle of awareness, interpretation, and reinforcement that strengthens the subconscious impression of wealth. This is where vision meets experience, as subtle signs gradually evolve into tangible outcomes, confirming the power of assumption. This is the step that changes everything, because recognizing and valuing small confirmations solidifies belief, making wealth a natural extension of your inner state. Now consider this. What if you could fully inhabit the reality of wealth before it ever appears? And in this video, you will learn how Neville Goddard teaches living in the end so that your subconscious fully embraces the state of abundance, causing it to manifest naturally in your external life. This is where it begins, by imagining not the process of becoming wealthy, but the end result, the feeling, the environment, and the lifestyle of someone who already possesses financial freedom. This is how it unfolds, when you mentally and emotionally experience your desires as fully realized, rehearsing the sensations of ease, security, and joy as if they are present now. This is where truth breaks through, because the subconscious does not distinguish between imagination and reality when you live from the end, accepting it as fact and aligning circumstances accordingly. This is why it matters. Since most people focus on lack or the steps needed to achieve wealth, which keeps them trapped in scarcity rather than living the reality they wish to create. This is where illusion fades, as you replace the idea of striving with the state of already having, letting your internal reality dictate external circumstances. This is the turning point, when every thought, feeling, and action emanates from the place of fulfillment, reinforcing your subconscious programming. This is how belief becomes action. By living as if wealth is complete, you unconsciously make choices and notice opportunities that mirror that state. This is the subtle art of maintaining the inner reality continuously, not just in meditation, but throughout daily life, ensuring alignment in every moment. This is where momentum gathers, because repeated immersion in the end state ingrains certainty and expectation, which the subconscious naturally reflects outward. This is the current that pulls you forward, where the sensation of already being wealthy magnetizes people, circumstances, and resources into your life. This is where alignment takes root, as every experience and perception aligns with the assumed end, making your imagined reality tangible. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting that living in the end sets into motion the law of assumption, which brings results in perfect timing. This is the hidden doorway, where imagination becomes lived reality and every mental rehearsal resonates as a real experience. This is where transformation whispers, as your inner state shifts completely, making outer circumstances adapt to the wealth you inhabit internally. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when daily living becomes a rehearsal of abundance, embedding prosperity into your subconscious effortlessly. This is where courage blooms, in daring to feel fully satisfied, complete, and wealthy, despite current external evidence. This is the rhythm of creation, a continuous alignment of thought, feeling, and action from the assumed end, orchestrating manifestation naturally. This is where vision meets experience, as the outer world begins to mirror the inner state of realized wealth. This is the step that changes everything, because once you consistently live in the end, your subconscious manifests abundance seamlessly, making wealth an inevitable reflection of your inner reality. Envision a moment where every practice, every meditation, and every assumption converges into a single, unstoppable force. And in this video, you will see how Neville Goddard's wealth meditation reaches its culmination, transforming imagination, feeling, and subconscious alignment into tangible, lasting abundance. This is where it begins. By understanding that every previous step, from visualization, assumption, gratitude, patience, and acting as if, builds a coherent internal state that the subconscious is ready to manifest. This is how it unfolds, when the cumulative effect of daily rehearsals, emotional alignment, and trust in the unseen creates a powerful magnetic field that draws opportunities, resources, and wealth effortlessly. This is where truth breaks through, because consistent inner work produces a living state that the subconscious cannot deny, orchestrating circumstances to match the life you have assumed. This is why it matters, since many people stop short or practice inconsistently, but complete integration ensures that wealth flows naturally, without resistance or struggle. This is where illusion fades, as you recognize that external limitations are reflections of unaligned inner states, and once fully aligned, manifestation becomes inevitable. This is the turning point, when every meditation, thought, and affirmation merges into one powerful current of creation, accelerating your results exponentially. This is how belief becomes action. By living continuously in the assumption of abundance, your choices, perceptions, and interactions all reinforce the reality you wish to inhabit. This is the subtle art of harmonizing all aspects of your inner world so that imagination, feeling, and inner conversation coalesce into a coherent, irresistible force. This is where momentum gathers, as compounded practice and alignment create a self-sustaining cycle of manifestation that the subconscious executes effortlessly. This is the current that pulls you forward, where confidence, expectation, and inspired action converge, guiding opportunities and resources to you with perfect timing. This is where alignment takes root, as your inner state becomes the dominant determinant of outer circumstances, leaving no space for scarcity or doubt. This is how patience becomes powerful, by trusting the law of assumption and knowing that your consistent inner state guarantees inevitable results. This is the hidden doorway, where imagination, meditation, feeling, and assumption merge into a single, fully integrated practice that commands manifestation. This is where transformation whispers, as your sense of self, wealth, and possibility expands, shaping not only your circumstances, but your entire life experience. This is how the ordinary becomes extraordinary, when daily meditation, gratitude, and assumption transform every thought and action into a rehearsal for abundance. This is where courage blooms, in fully embracing the reality of wealth regardless of current appearances, knowing the law of assumption is at work. This is the rhythm of creation, a flowing, continuous current of inner alignment that produces external results effortlessly and beautifully. This is where vision meets experience, as every imagined scenario, emotional state, and conscious action finally converges into tangible, undeniable wealth. This is the step that changes everything, because mastering Neville Goddard's wealth meditation transforms imagination into reality, making abundance not just possible, but inevitable, permanent, and fully integrated into your life.